Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm glad you could be here. It's KyFy again, back with another one, and we're gonna have a good reading today. We're gonna be talking about some of the things that is trending right now when it comes up to the table, what you bring to the table, the constant not argument that we all have at the same time. What is the table? So you're looking at one of the pieces of the table, and I'm gonna explain why. This is the Zin-Finity Board, one of my original creations, but it also has a form where I can basically explain anything I want. So what I'm going to be explaining today is what you bring to the table. So let's get started. I already shuffled a little bit, but I'm going to shuffle again. If you like this content, if you like the reading, don't be afraid to give it a like. Subscribe, because you will have more content just like this. Alright, so give me a moment to get these cards down, and we're going to get started. Alright, so what just happened? Basically, if you've been with me before, if you've seen some of my readings, you'll understand that this encompasses the whole mind and anything you can be thinking of. So, whatever it is that you're going through right now, it has a question and it has an answer, allegedly, right? That's the point. But put it this way, if I'm telling you that it encompasses your whole mind, this will give you direct clues on what works with each other to give you some kind of guidance. So that was the reason for me to create this. I was just basically a viewer, and I always had this inquisitive mind. So I created something that'll give you, as a viewer, who I was, a different perspective on how things could go from getting a reading. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we get those general readings that don't quite give you the answer that you need, so you need to keep watching more. So with this, imagine this in the reader's hands and how powerful it can be from there going on. So let's get it. Alright, so first up, you have to understand that this is an elementally energetic board. So starting off with the root chakra, we have the Three of Swords right here. This is the place of I am, right? So the root chakra is earth, right? And this is air. So this is offsuit. So we're going to understand that I am, your chakra, which is for I am, the things that keep you stable, the fear that keeps you trembling in a sense, that's out of whack right now. So the idea of a heartbreak leaves you in a sense of instability. So just the idea of it, the fact that it actually happens in some cases, also leads you to instability, because what happens in that case, right? We're talking about the table. So before we even get started, I want y'all to understand one thing. On this side of the board, we have the world of creation. On this side, you have the world of formation. We have the divine feminine here, divine masculine here, the physical and the astral, right? Just put it that way. The divine feminine in this case is going to be represented by a castle, and you'll understand why later. As for the divine masculine, is going to be represented as the kingdom, Now, why are these two things that way? The castle is a place that you can build and it can provide better for the kingdom, right? Or the people that it inhabits. So, in a castle, you have a king and a queen. You know, if you have your queen with you, if you have your king with you. But in this case, it goes hand in hand with yourself. So we are all of these elements. But when you're in a relationship, you can understand who does what and what does what. So when it comes up to actual gender roles, this is the divine gender role. So both of you can do these roles when it comes up to what you want on your table. Now, what is this table? This table is a times table. So I don't know why God gave me that. It's a table of time. It has nothing to do with things. It has to do with the experiences that you can get with people. Does this person offer me the experience that's either in my fantasy or my dream? You know, the dream is more important, but the fantasy can get clouded by the ego. If your fantasy matches your dream, you in the right path. So try to figure out which one is which, because the ego comes through the fantasies of the ego is created by the pain that you go through. So according to the pain that you went through in your life, usually in the beginning of your life, you come up to a point where if I had this and this and this and this and this, I would have lived comfortably. I wouldn't have had gone through the things that I've been going through. But the thing is, you know, in my belief, we decide to come here, you know. So you decided to learn what that was about and get through it. You decided to take that challenge. So understand, if you hear my voice right now, you decided to take that challenge. So what is it about where you're going that's for you to learn more about? So let's continue. This is the root chakra. I said it has air in its offsuit. When it comes up to the sacral chakra, this is on suit. It has the Two of Cups right here. So when it comes up to the energy, you have to do things. The energy, your emotions are not stopping you. So even if you could have them, even if you are indecisive at times, it doesn't stop you. So it does slow you down. If it was more of a definite decision, you would get there faster. But it doesn't really matter because you're still on track. It's just the way you decided to go about things, the way you decided to handle things when it comes to your emotions. So you're good with that part. So that's not affecting the table, the timetable at all between you two or yourself individually. I hope you can understand that. So moving on from there, we have the sacral, the solar plexus, right? And this is represented by the Eight of Swords. Now, air and fire complement each other. So even though this is off suit, it does complement this area. So we're going to figure out why, right? So when you see the Eight of Swords, you understand that it's kind of out of your control, but in Spirit's control. It's in God's hands. You're kind of taking a seat back. You're not doing so much anymore. You're giving your okay. So it takes time to do anything, right? So you're allowing the time to heal. That's what it is. So when it comes up to the heart chakra, it's Tiferet, right? I didn't mention it, but this is basically the Philosopher's Stone and the Tree of Life combined into a thing where I can actually read cards on it. So moving on, we have the heart chakra, which is Tiferet, and like I said before, the Sun card is a fire, but this is the place of air. So even though it does complement, it's off suit, and we're gonna figure out why. So moving on from there, we have your place of desire. Now this is, let me go backwards a little bit. This is the place of I am, the root. When it comes up to your sacral, it is I feel, of course. Then your solar plexus is I do. When it comes up to the heart chakra, is I love, or not or, and then I care, right? Because whatever you care for, you'll go towards. Even though you love things, you care for another thing. You care for somebody, that's why you take care of them, right? Well, that's kind of redundant, but okay. You understand. Moving on, we have the star in the place of desire. Now the star is, what is it? The star is an air card, right? So when it comes up to this area right here, because this is air and this is water, this is allowed to be air or water. So this is on suit and this is the star. Basically, this is a very good card to have over here because you're figuring out who you are, and it's gonna kind of drown everything out because it's more true. That's what it was. So your truth is gonna be revealed and gonna be exposed to the world. Your truth, but not in a negative way. This is empowerment. I can tell because it's the star. Because you have control over who you are and your emotions, you don't let your emotions take control of you. You use the energy that you got from whatever experience that you go through. And that's how you claim the energy. It doesn't become a trigger to the worst things. It becomes a trigger to your growth. So you're able to do that. Moving on, we have the hangman in the place of the will. Now, your will is very important. When you have the thing to use, the energy to do it, and the plan, your will comes into play. So even if you do have a plan, even if you have the things to do, what you need to do it with, like the tools, even though you have the tools, you have the plan, and you know what you need to do, like you know how to do it, all the ins and out, sometimes the will can be out of whack because the hangman is a water card, and this is not supposed to be on this side at all. So your will is out of whack. The fact that you know how to do it, it's like this frustrating thing. Like, I know everything to do, why can't I do it? Even though my emotions are in control, it seems like something mental or somebody getting in your head or something that happened that caused you to overthink a situation. And overthinking it disallows you from actually going and using the tool that God gave you. The first tool is you, your body, your temple. But then there are things outside of you that you can use too. And also things in your mind that you create. Things that you manifest. So the hangman is off suit. So I didn't explain it, but these three right here are part of Akasha or ether, right? And this is basically, to explain the ether in one sentence, that's crazy. But it's the energy around you, the information, and the forms that can be at play. Everything that has been at play, everything that will be at play, all the effects, it's all jumbled into one. But the ether has a power in itself. So let's talk about it. But moving up the line, we have in the area of the dark, right? You have the Five of Cups. Now, the Five of Cups is a water card. It's in the area of spirit, so you're fine. Even though this is a thing that happened, you had... Okay, we're going to get to that because that requires a little bit of attention. Now, when it comes up to the Magician in the side of the light, this is offsuit because the Magician is the air card, and this is the area of fire and earth. Fire and earth should be on this side, and if it's not, there are problems. And me as a reader be able to tell you that this is where you have an issue. So you have an issue with what you want. What you need, you don't have an issue with. You know you need to let things go. Don't cry over spilled milk. The milk was expired. You know what I mean? It was expired. It's not for you anymore. It's not going to do any good for you anymore. So that cup, that basket that you are holding, like you're putting all your eggs in one basket, is a hole in that basket and everything is just leaking out of it. It's no good for you. It's expired. Get a new basket. Or understand that the temple that you occupy, your body, is your basket. What you put into yourself usually gives you the better benefit. It doesn't rot as easy. You know what I mean? And it's all a decision if you want to rot it or not. But when the Magician is here in the place of what you want, right? This is deception in the finest quality. Deception in the finest quality. Why? Because imagine you have an unlimited amount of ideas that can help you out, or an unlimited amount of ideas that can deter you from doing anything. So when it comes up to your hangman right here and the magician, understand that seeing from the opposite perspective, being willing to go the route of spirit, being willing to listen to yourself, being willing to listen to your intuition, because you know it speaks to you. And when you get into places when it's lonely like that, it speaks to you very loud. So the Nine of Swords is on suit and it's in the place of Da'at. So this finishes out ether, but let me go backwards. Alright, so continuing on with the Nine of Swords, right? It is on suit because this is fire and this is air. Going into this triangle right here, it should be fire or air, and it is. Even though it is a painful mental experience, this is a fantasy destroyed. This is your thoughts are actually hurting you when it's not. It's your belief of it anyway. So you're believing that these things are actually going to destroy you, but in fact, it gives you the space to move on. So before I forget, right? I gotta do it before I move on. This is the place of light, and this is the place of dark. Even though it's right here, this is the place of light, and this is the place of dark. As you can see, yin yang. You can see a little bit clearer. Yin yang is right here, so that represents those two spaces. So going from there, we have the Nine of Wands, which is in the crown chakra, right? That was the third eye. This is the crown chakra. And you know, usually this crowns the reading. Usually this is the card that crowns the reading, and it's the Nine of Wands. So not only would you always have the energy towards something, nobody will ever defeat who you are because you believe in yourself at a core level. So your beliefs will outweigh any types of challenges because you have the Nine of Wands right here and the Nine of Swords right here. Even though it's, well, you understand they support each other. You can understand that whatever is dished out, you have enough to combat it. Even though it might not be a physical thing, sometimes you got to give things up. So that's not what I'm talking about. When it comes up to who you are in your soul, like yourself, you don't really give any of those things up unless you give it freely. You know what I mean? You have to allow somebody's words to affect you, but we don't really, right? In my experience, people have a hard time with that. So last but not least was the Nine of Swords, but I did it a little bit backwards. What I just did with these 10 black cards is Ayin, and on a tree of life you have Ayin, Soph, and Or. So next up is Sophia or Soph, right? Now, when it comes up to Soph, you have to understand that this involves the domains of the mind itself. So you have the physical part of the mind, the creative part, the spiritual part of the mind, the formative part, the mental part of the mind, right? And then you have the soul or the emanation part of the mind. The soul also fuels the whole operation. So here we go with it. When it comes up to the world of emanation, we have healer. Now let's get it. So emanation has to do with your creativity, your imagination, what comes from you at the core. So that thought that comes from, how should I say this? Before you have that thought in your mind that nobody else can hear but you, that one. Before you have that thought, there's something that gives that thought power, and that comes from your soul, right? So that part is saying this to you about being a healer. Hope you understand that. You are a healer. Fear not your own ability to be a light worker or a way shower for others. Drawing this card can also symbolize that a healing is in its highest form. In its highest form is available to you now. If you have pulled this card in regard to a relationship or situation, please know that there's a powerful exchange of energy here. Meditate when you are wanting to heal on the physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual plane. So I just talked about it. So meditation. Meditation comes in different forms. Dancing is a meditation, as well as sitting down and thinking or not thinking at the same time. You know, emptying your mind is a meditation, as well as dancing. Because when you dance freely, it's not much thought that goes into it. You're just allowing the energy to control you, right? So understand that in your soul, at the base level, you are a healer. So whatever you decide to emanate from your soul, the purity, this truth that comes out of you, it is forced to heal the situation. And healing comes in two different ways. Like, something can be taken away from you because it's being pushed by your energy, your new higher vibrating energy is being pushed away. This sometimes you don't even have no control over it, because understand magnetism. If you're not on the same frequency, or at least the opposite frequency that attracts, you have a polarization that pushes away the force. You know, right? So that's with the energy in itself. But next up, you have in the spirit, which is the world of creation, you have home. So a creation of home that can actually, okay, a temple is a place to reside, but it's not. Is it your home? Is it the place that you live and flourish and thrive and reset and all that other stuff? Do you pack yourself up with enough knowledge, spiritual things, mental things, physical things, to help yourself on that journey? But in order to start all of that, you have to have a home base. So a home base of operations is like something you can hold on to. Yeah. So home. You are being guided to come back home to who you truly are. Drawing this card can signal a change in your physical home or sense of where you belong. Pulling this card can also symbolize that wherever or whatever your current situation is, you can trust that this moment is in alignment with your higher self. You have not lost your way. You are, in fact, on time and on track. Meditate on this symbol to access your higher power when having to make important decisions. You can always orient yourself north to the morning star and be assured that you will make the decision that is in alignment with your highest good. So here's the part where you have to understand the lesson, the baggage that you've been holding. You understand what I mean? Baggage is basically unlearned lessons. So if you're taking your baggage with you, there's an amount of ignorance that you're carrying and it gets heavier. Acceptance will make this big rock of ignorance, get smaller, because acceptance, you'll break it down. You know what? I don't need this. I'm glad I got through this. I learned this, and therefore I will operate differently. And once you're in that sense of acceptance, it's not so much of an ignorance that you're battling anymore. It's more like time. Who's in front of you? What's in front of you? The challenges that are in front of you. Right? So going from there, you have in the mind or the world of formation, you have truth. And I was just talking about truth before. So let's see what truth has to say. A great truth will come to light. A secret will be revealed. Your feelings regarding the situation you are asking about are true. Stand by your personal truth no matter what, and you will be rewarded. This is the time to let your authentic self shine. You have much to express. Your voice is needed. Meditate on this when you want more authenticity in your life or want clarity regarding a person or situation. So understand that truth is a light and it's a spotlight. And it's also a magnetic blockage. So not only do you vibrate higher because you operate in your truth, it's a spotlight. When you look at something, it'll be automatically, automatically figured out, automatically deliberated on. You'll have everything you need to know. Your eye will be sharp. Not these eyes. These eyes will be trained to look at this one first. So your eye will be very sharp to the situation, your intuition. Seeing from the different perspective with the hangman, right? So let's get it. Last but not least is in the physical world, the world of manifestation, we have magic. And what does it say? So this is a pinnacle. And this is in the world of manifestation. So if you would understand that, if you would believe that God has a purpose for what you have around you, like sometimes we can look at something and not get it. And then like the 50th time you see it, you have like this whole epiphany behind it. So it just takes an amount of time. Certain people get it like this, and certain people have different lessons to get it. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own trial, their own path. So, you are a magical being. It's time to stop hiding the awe-inspiring abilities you have to connect to the divine. Drawing the Pinnacle invites you to connect with your personal magic on a deeper level at this time. Working with the phases of the moon in ritual and with herbs, candles, crystals, and spell work are some ways we can connect to our magic on a physical plane to the etheric realms. So, what is some of the spell work that you can do on yourself, right? Some people journal, but if in affirmation, you would literally write down, what is the one? I am so happy and grateful for now that I have multiple streams of income. I am so happy and grateful for now that I have multiple streams of income. So that's a spell work. I wrote that. I wrote it down after I heard somebody say it, and then now I claim it and I use it for myself. So this is an affirmation, and I constantly try to understand, and it's calling it to me. It's becoming more magnetic. So magnetism is at play right now. The higher you vibrate, the faster these things come towards you. So your ability to go through the problem is coming up right now. And your ability to go through the problem, you have no problem with it. You always have the energy for it. But when it comes up to your mind to do the things, it's almost like there's this stagnant energy. How can you get past it? We're going to talk about it. So, how can you get past it? What I talked about so far was Ein and Soph. But on a tree of life, you have Ein, Soph, Or. So let's do Or right now. Or has to do with the things that are off suit. We're going to bring them on suit and then describe them and what story they tell then. So give me a moment to get these cards down. I already shuffled, but let's get it. All right. If you're, paying attention, this fast, but okay. We almost didn't make it on the earth right here. But at the last moment, diligent work is what saved the day. Diligent work is what saved the day. So work at it. Continue working at it, and you will see progress, because that's what comes out of you. Is what's created from you. For some reason, there's a uniqueness in what you do, and you need to bring that out, because that's what makes you stand out. You are a unique thumbprint from God, so allow it to be in this world. Allow that energy, allow that creation to do its work. We came to this world to heal at the end of the day. Anything that you can think of to do to heal is in your alignment. Anything that you think of to do to heal, anything. So the way that the Zin-Finity Board is lined up is from 0 to 9 plus the 4 domain cards, right? So we're starting off, first we went from 9 to 0, now we're going from 0 to 9. So that's how I'm doing it. You bring the energy up and you bring the blessings down. So for what we already went over, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate it so you understand what I'm talking about specifically, right? Starting with 0, we have Da'at, right? And that is the 9 of Swords. And that is anxiety, hopelessness, and trauma. So trauma is full of different types of regrets and attitudes towards things, and it depends on how you can actually handle it. Behind all the pain is an energy that you can control and you can tame. So imagine the amount of time that it takes you to think about something to just get over it, the amount of time it took for you to just work on yourself and just be patient with yourself to get through it. That's an energy that you can use. Once you that means you are containing that. How could I explain this better? When you go through heartbreak, there's an empty hole, there's a gap. And so, like I was talking about with the triggers before, these triggers trigger an energy to come out. It's unlocked from the soul. But it can be taken both ways, the dark side or the light side. Now, it doesn't really matter which way you go because you can operate diligently both ways, right? So going to the light side, you can choose understanding, right? And when you choose understanding, you'll figure out that there's a reason why you were triggered, and it's deep within what you've been through, and you can search that, you can meditate on it, right? You can dance it out, you can, oh, okay, this is mainly what I was thinking about. It'll come out because when you dance and when you meditate, that negativity leaves you. And usually when you're clear-headed, you have better answers. That's just what it is. But let me get the 9 of Wands right now because it's a 9 and a 9. This is the place of I know. And you know you have anxiety, but the anxiety can be controlled. And when you claim that energy that holds you down, it's energy to use, right? The 9 of Wands clearly lets me know that whatever tries to tear you down, you have equal and a opposite, the same force by default to bring you back to a certain kind of balance, right? And the balance has to do with this: resilience, grit, taking the last stand. And that's what the 9 of Swords is about. That last stand always comes out when somebody challenges you. That last stand always comes out when you're challenged in general. I'm going to make it because this is who I am. I believe I can make it, so therefore I will. The ideas, the abilities would just pop out. The things you can do would just pop out. The coincidences, the chances, it's all alignment, right? But this is about that table. So out of what you've been hearing and what you know and this is the place of your being. Where you're crowned, this is your being. So the best way I can explain this is, at the end of the day, I will be this way. That's the core of who you are. And it's represented by the 9 of Wands, right? So moving on from there, we have the third eye. And let's do the light side first. It started off with the Magician. Let's get that. So the Magician is an air card. It's actually an unlimited card. You can do whatever you want with it, but it has to be controlled. So, right? So it started off with an uncontrollable energy on the light and the dark side. So I'm going to be thinking this positive thing, and just as easy, I'll be thinking this negative thing. And that's out of control. So it's a lot of shifting, right? So let's see. That's the magic of it all. And if it's between arguments with people, you can understand that when you want to win, it'll come out of you because that's your last stand. But that also can deter you from what you guys want to do in the first place. So understand that. Well, just try to understand that. So the Magician is willpower, creation, mastery, and adaptation. Like I said, the adaptation to the situation. It doesn't matter what you go through. You can change up like an octopus, it seems. And went from there to the 2 of Cups. Now, the 2 of Cups is right here. Now, instead of... You can understand that your emotions are controlled here. So since they are controlled, that force and that power that you have when it comes up to just getting through the day patiently and peacefully is what you need to apply when it comes up to your mind. So although your emotions are handled, the mind just keeps going. And that's a problem. Like I said, that baggage will help sufficiently. Moving on, what finished it was a fire card, right? Because everything else didn't. It was off suit still. The Page of Wands finished it. And what does it say? So, exploration, excitement, and freedom. Why would you have freedom? Because you learn your lessons. The one thing the devil can't do to you is once you learn it, you have to choose not to do it. The ignorance is what the devil relied on. So, that's his domain. If you're less ignorant, it becomes more of a choice. But we all still make bad choices. So, tread lightly, right? Alright, so that's in the place of I want. So that has to do with everything that's wanted in this situation. As far as what you need, because you can want it all you want, but there's a certain amount of things that you need at play, or a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of intuition, a certain amount of spiritual backing that you need in order to be on your path, and you need to accept it. But it's hard to keep because your mind can get in the way. This is the mind and this is the spirit. So when you're too mental, the spirit has no space. The balance is everything. Balance brings love. So 5 of Cups in the place of the creation, in the place of the spirit. So what does it say? So naturally, as I said before, this is loss, grief, and disappointment. This is disappointment in what you believed and what you were intuitive about. So although that you decided to believe in spirit and say, okay, I believe this, so, and I thought I was right, so I did a certain amount of things and I still lost what I believed helped me out, what I believed gave me a sense of joy, what I believe gave me a sense of, stillness and peace. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. Rejection is the best protection. So let's move on from that, right? And here's moving on from there, you have where it kind of fell off a lot. It starts to really expose itself, the problem. So the problem here started off with the Hangman. So the Hangman is about sacrifice, relief, and martyrdom. Now, this is emotional sacrifice, emotional relief, and emotional martyrdom. There's a part of you that dies or is about to, but it's emotional. It's a shell. It's what kept you safe before. It wasn't enough. This is the place of Cancer, right? This emotional place. And the crab, a hermit crab, literally, when the hermit card came up somewhere, the hermit card came up over here, right? The hermit is connected from will, Chesed, to Tiferet, which is the heart chakra. So it's here right now. And I didn't get there yet, but I'm just telling you. A hermit crab, literally, when they get bigger, they can't fit in that old shell. You have grown out of what you believed that protected you before. So you have to find a new shell of protection. And that comes with, first, the idea of being vulnerable and alone and susceptible to all types of threats on the bottom of the seafloor. Y'all know how crazy the sea is. So just imagine that. Everything that can attack you is like this spirit just waiting, like, ooh, you ain't got no shell? Yeah, okay, now I'm gonna come at you. But it's all a facade that the devil, you know how if you're in the dark, your mind just runs heavy and it could actually not be anything near you, but you'll go crazy until you actually turn a light on and see it. So your mind plays tricks on you, and who is the master tricker? Who's the trickster? Right? So it started off with that, and then it continued with the 4 of Swords. So restoration, and contemplation. Sometimes, even though you believe what you are doing currently is right for you, when you change lanes, when you elevate, there's a new lane for you. So sometimes it's just time to give things up and move on. It's just what it is because you are past that level. Why are you using... I play a lot of games. Why are you using a level 5 sword when you level 40? You feel me? You weak because you're not using the things that God has put in front of you to use. There are better things around you, and it's all an amount of time for you to get it. But understand, being ready for it is what brings you towards you. You vibrate higher, you learn, you accept, you meditate, you find that balance, and it comes towards you just easily. Moving on from there, you have the Ten of Cups. Usually this is a good card. This is fulfillment, wonderful things. But this is wonderful things that you believe that's supposed to happen in your will, that when it doesn't happen, it's taken from you. So why is that important? Let's see. So it says inner happiness, fulfillment, dreams coming true. Now, the dream is on this side. Completely on this side. This is the dream and this is the fantasy. So your dreams in the place of your fantasy, why is that wrong? Or this is the indicator of what I was saying before, how what you dream of and what you fantasize about is coming into alignment. Because that's what this could be about. Because this is beautiful. I'm not getting anything negative anymore about this. So this is a beautiful moment that you have when you say, you know what? Because I have a new shell, because I have a new perspective on things, there is a different life. There is still beauty left in this world. You know what I mean? So it's something you're still willing to fight for at the end of the day regardless. It doesn't matter what you go through. You go through the right things and you'll find out why you went through it. Alright, so the energy that completed this was the Page of Pentacles. So this is ambition, desire, and diligence, right? Now the reason why this works over here, because this is earth or fire. There's something to use. When you're cooking, you don't put more water and more air in the pot. You put something to actually cook and ferment and manifest and all the other stuff to season and things like that. There's something to use. And the funny thing about it, this magic card came out right here. So this pentacle, right? This pentacle was picked up by you. So you got the magic now. That's what that is. You're in control of what you were brought here for. So let's just say now you a Charmander and you just learned your first fire move. Now you found out, oh, I can do this. It's shocking because it worked. And then anytime you do it, you defeat enemies. You know, let's get away from that. But moving on. Let's reiterate this again before we get to the inner circle, right? The star is about hope, faith, and rejuvenation. All right. There's not many problems on this side of creation. So when it comes up to you being able to manifest or connecting with spirit or looking for that intuition, you have no problem once you decide to look for it. But the reason why you needed hope and faith and rejuvenation, because rejuvenation was on this side too. I forgot where, but it was on this side too. There you go. 4 of swords was rejuvenation. So this is another rejuvenation when it comes to the self. Don't think of it as selfish. You are serving who you are inside. The master. Okay. So I was going to save this for another reading, but you are the temple, right? We always say you are the temple. The temple has a master. Are you the master? Who is the master? We know the master as something that's near the crown, pineal, or whatever, right? So let's just say that the crown chakra is the master or whatever. Are you in charge of your crown? And yes, you are. So when it comes to the things that you can do in your life, understand you have sovereignty. You have the ability to do it. So whoever's stopping you, it's not going to be for long. They can, and they're only able to be around you because there's something to learn. And it seems like it's a little thing, but you never knew it. Right? Moving on from there, we have in the inner circle, the yin and the yang circle, where you have the seasons of time. In this box right here has to do with time, and I'll explain it later. So starting off with the heart chakra, the space for anything, right? We have the sun. As I said, the sun came out over here too in the solar plexus, which is beautiful. So obviously seeing from a different perspective what you're doing different things, leading to different results. The sun was on the space of the heart chakra. Now it's over here. It was helping and it did help. That's crazy, right? So let's see. This is joy, success, celebration, and positivity. Now the reason why this is not supposed to be over here, because it's taking the place of your space. This is looking for something to take place of the love that you were missing. This is something that you're looking to take the place of the reason why it was taken from you in the first place is so God can fill it with a different thing. So if you go ahead of God and push something in there before it's ready, you'll go back to the cycle. So it's like a dog going back to his vomit. It's crazy. Try your best not to go back to the vomit. Try your best not. You already know the lessons. Like I said before, you know the deal. You know what you've been through, and you know your baggage. You've discerned it. You've taken care of it. But you are still in a place where you have freedom of speech. So freedom of speech, if you can't speak, that's crazy. You're not in the right place. Yeah, that threw me off because freedom of speech. But we have free will to do anything we want. So even though we know the lessons and we've learned, doesn't matter. We can still go back to our vomit, go back to the cycle. But sometimes it's smaller cycles because we got so much knowledge. It's like going back to a game that you beat. It's like, oh, okay, this is the second time. You just get through it in a 10% of the time. Like, you just get through this real quick. My bad, God, my bad, spirit. I fell off. I did something. I knew this. I knew that was going to happen. And spirit's like, oh, you did? Okay, let's move on. And you'll understand the bounce back. Yeah, so moving on from there is the King of Pentacles. Now, this is the earth, right? In opposition to your space. So this King of Pentacles seems like it's a stubborn blockage in your way. So let's see. Abundance, prosperity, and generosity. Now, this has to do with your space. Giving away your space. Giving away your abundance. And giving away your secrets almost. Like giving away like, okay, well, since it wasn't for me, let's do it for something else. Since it didn't help me, that's what you believe. You were learning. You're learning. It doesn't happen all at one time. Since it wasn't for me, I went this other route. And you know, like I said, going back to your vomit. Be less generous with the space that you need for yourself. If they can fit, let them fit. Because fitting is better than somebody taking control. Fitting is an acceptance. Right? Moving on from there is the Hermit card that we was talking about before. So, contemplation, searching for truth, or inner guidance is the Hermit card. Now, this connects the heart to your will. So your heart's desire is literally telling me the space that you literally are crying for, praying for, to do the thing that you dream. You need the space for the dream. And if people taking your time, you definitely don't have the space for it. Right? Last but not least, in the air is the Page of Swords, and it completed the run, right? So now it's settled. So I hope you understand this part. So this is curiosity, restlessness, and mental energy. When you see the Page of Swords, doesn't have any armor on, so you understand that this is an area you need to tread lightly with. There's a possibility that you still have a lot of battling to go through, but the thing is you're equipped and prepared for it. Instead of these swords right here and your knowledge attacking you, you're able to use the knowledge and attack whatever that comes into your space and try to occupy and control your life. You're able to do that with knowledge. Knowledge is power. And in the spirit, it's a sword, right? So that's how you cut the demon, with your knowledge. Pick up your sword and cut that demon. Use your knowledge and get rid of that bad habit. Use your knowledge. It is limitless, right? You have an ability to get that limitless creation going on. So you have an answer. Doesn't matter if it comes out in a way that requires a lot of steps. It's not all meant to be done in one shot all the time, right? Moving on from there, you have the Eight of Swords in the place of the solar plexus first. So this is imprisonment, entrapment, and self-victimization. See, if you're a victim if you're a victim and you're entrapped, how can you move in a place where your solar plexus, your place of rhythm, that's your place of rhythm, right? This is the place of I do, I act. How can you act when you're shackled down by your mind? You can't. You have to be willing to release what holds you back, and it's a mental thing. So It's a fantasy thing. You have to be willing to release the fantasy to see the dream. You have to be willing to do the things for the dream, because the dream will empower you. They can't take your dream away, because the path to the dream is also the dream. All right, so going from there, we have the 10 of Pentacles. Now, you have the 10 of Cups over here in the wheel and the 10 of Pentacles over here, right? They were both wrong. Beautiful cards to have, a lot of abundance. But this abundance is in a place of rhythm. So you can't put your money in a place where you're supposed to do works, right? You can't use money to heal the situation. It just won't work. It just won't work. But let's see what it says. Legacy, inheritance, and culmination. Things won't work. It's usually like that generosity that was over here in the wrong place is also giving me this generosity over here. So you're doing something for other people's abundance to be able to cook something up. You're doing something that will benefit the other side and not you. You're doing something that will only block. Well, there's many ways I can say that, but let's keep going. 7 of Cups. So searching for purpose, choices, and daydreaming. I'm a big daydreamer. And what I know about daydreaming is it does take up time. Even though it feels good, you can understand that it is also an escape. So daydreaming is not active. It's mental. You're still daydreaming. Sometimes you can daydream while you playing hoops. You can think about something while you roller skating. I don't know why I said that. You could think about anything while you're dancing. But it's all an escape. And being able to do that is a good thing at certain times, because you realize that what you needed to escape from, all of the people that needed you in order to just hold themselves up. But this is what's it called? Not vampire energy, but succubus energy. This is succubus energy right here. So it's somebody using you for their benefit, and you know it, but it's addictive. So you kind of just let it slide. And then the sun came out. So again, joy, success, celebration, positivity. See, celebration and positivity. Let's just say that the dream has steps, right? And when you achieve even the tiniest step, you can celebrate because it's a step towards your dream. Not that anybody actually sees you take that step. They don't even know what it is. And sometimes keeping quiet is the way that you need to be. How do they know you? If they don't know your dream, how could they stop you? All right, so going down from there, you have the sacred chakra, the 2 of Cups. Let me just read it. So, unity, partnership, and connection. Now, what is this about? If you think about it in a base level, the positive male plus the negative female creates the baby, right? So, unity and connection brings the space for manifestation. So, the fact that you're able to control your emotions has been leading you already to the place that you need to be. But before, you didn't have the will to do it because of all the things that we talked about. But now, knowing what you know, the only thing that we have to talk about is the fears. So let's talk about them. All right. So starting with the 3 of Swords in the place of Malkut, right? This is supposed to be earth, but it's air, and it is polar opposite. So this is a mental blocking you from even seeing the things to use. It's like, it's pessimism. Pessimism. That's what it is. Beautiful pessimism. It is like almost you're right about the things that you're saying about the situation, but it actually only stops you from using the things. Even though you believe that you're right, you're not God, and you're also leaning on your ego, but spirit knows what God has for you. Almost can feel it, can say, no, this is not the thing to do. Yep, this is the thing to do. You have that indicator, that marker, and it leads you to your dream. But having your mind in the way of what is manifested, you're not using it right. So this is like having a super economical, efficient car in a driveway, but you don't know how to drive. It went from there to another sword, the Five of Swords. Unbridled ambition, winning at all costs, right? But it came out opposite for this way. So this is a misguided winning at all costs in this area when it comes to manifestation. And sneakiness. Why is it sneakiness? It's cunning. So the best revenge is growth. It has no bad effects on you. If you are able to not be triggered into revenge and trigger yourself into growing, whatever just happened can't happen again because you grew past it, or at least grew at the level where you can combat it. It just takes time. Sometimes you need to learn things about yourself, and God brings people into your life so you can learn all about yourself. All about yourself. Crazy. And went from there to the King of Wands. So the King of Pentacles is over here, and the King of Wands is right here. I just wanted to point that out. It's just polar opposite things going over. So this is big picture, leader, and overcoming challenges. Your nature comes out in almost everything that you do. But let's see. The negative thing about being... I'm a dreamer, so I think I know what I'm saying right now, at least for this part. The negative thing about having such a big dream is that you don't break it into pieces and accept those pieces as steps. You see it as one big challenge and one big failure when it doesn't happen. Because the dream is so beautiful and big to you, how could you let it go? Don't even think about letting it go. Break it up. How does it look? How does it operate? How does it feel? And when you do that, the trials become easier to handle. Because I didn't lose everything. I just need to try this again until I get it. Because when I get this, I can get to the next part of my dream. You're not even thinking about the failure no more. It's not failure. It's a new lesson. It's the Model T Ford. Because they took up A through S. That's that was the amount of failures before they got to T. And then the car was here. Look where we are now. You know what I mean? Cars and all this other stuff, trains, airplanes, a whole bunch of different types of transportation. It started there, right? But moving on, we have the Six of Cups. Now this is water in a place where you need mana, food, something to actually cook. So you can't cook your emotions. You can't put your emotions in a place of the things to use. You can't use your triggers to win anything. Using your triggers only prolong the cycle. So this is loss, grief, and sorry. This is the Six of Cups, and this is familiarity, happy memories, and healing. Okay, this is an indicator that this is what's happening right now. So this is the place of fear, and healing the fear means basically an emotional control of fear, so that emotions that fear puts you through is not as strong as it was before. So the devil knows that its attacks are getting weaker, and it's struggling right now to claim you and your time and your everything. So this is a good sign. From there, you have the Death card, and the Death card connects the solar plexus to the heart chakra, but in two different connections. But it's the Death and the Devil card. But the Death card, I like to call this the undead warrior, and the reason why is, like I said, I play a lot of games, and anything that's undead doesn't have flesh, and it can't get cut. So the triggers won't happen. It's nothing to cut. You can only break it. But at the at the core of you, yourself can never be broken. Because at the end of the day, who you are, your being, you will be a person to balance the scales. Right? So, let's see. And also, this is the end of a cycle, change and metamorphosis. So that's basically a prerequisite to the whole thing. If you're able, like I said before, the triggers. If the triggers can't hurt you, you can only just keep going forward. You ain't scared, and the skeleton ain't got no heart. What's gonna be in shock? Ain't got no heart to be in shock. Ain't got no lungs to be in shock. You can't. What you saying to a skeleton? It's already dead. That is dead. The attacks are dead. You ain't getting no reaction out of it, right? Then you got no reaction. When they get no reaction out of you, end up with the Eight of Pentacles, and that's diligent work. You have nothing but time. You have nothing but time at your disposal because they can't get to your time unless you allow it. But you're at that point now, which is a beautiful place to be, and that was the reason for the pain in the first place. You need a protection, but sometimes you need to go through the things to know what to protect, because we are out here blind in a sense, you know, not fully blind, but we out here blind. So that was Ein, Soph, and Or, Ein, Soph, 4 in the Tree of Life. And what that does is clear the energy. So right now, in my imagination, you should have a clear example of the perspective that you need to have to see the whole situation that you're in differently. So when you see it from this elevated point of view, understand that, let me run over this again. It's I am, I feel, I do, I love, I desire, I will, I need, I want, I be, your being, who I am, my tag, right? And then what I know. So using those things, everything is clear. Everything has a sense of an answer. So what can you do with that? Now that you have your space and your energy, we're going to go through the star stream. And what is that about? Experimentation, expression, integration, and transcendence. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like music, and every time you do that, you add a little bit to your knowledge when it comes up to the da'at, right? So you experiment with what you know. Oh, I couldn't even talk. You experiment with what you know. You express how you feel about what you did and understand what's good for you and what's not good for you. Then you move on to the integration phase. You make it a habit. You make it become part of you. It becomes second nature. And then when it becomes second nature, you level up. You eventually find this point, you're like, I don't even need to do this no more because there's something better. Even though I got this down pack, I can do this in something more now. You gain levels, you grow. So let's get experimentation out. Protection. Well, I just said protection, right? And this is protection on your fears. And that's the first card in this deck. These are oracle cards, by the way, of course. But alright, the only card that was face up is good fortune. So even though a whole bunch of bull came out just now, you're fortunate enough, at least with your emotions. Divinity. And power. Alright. So, for experimentation, we have protection. You are protected, naturally. You are safe in all matters of the body, mind, and spirit. Your highest guidance has you covered on all fronts. Do not delay in moving forward. If inquiring about a relationship, situation, or how to proceed, please take this as a sign that you are taken care of and harm to none will be had. Meditate on this symbol when you feel like you need the energy you need to strengthen your energy. So, harm to none will be had was about that revenge that I talk about. So, just worry about growing because that's the best revenge. Like I said before, growing is the best revenge, and it'll keep all the BS away. Yeah. So next up we have good fortune, and let me get it. So in the place of what you can express, or what you know now. No matter what your query, the universe gives you its blessing. This is also a powerful time for manifesting, so ask now for what you want more of in your life. It is granted. Acknowledge the blessings in your life and more will appear. So it's almost like, because you have such high emotional control, the energy that spirit needs from that, since you're giving it to spirit, you're giving it to God, right? Spirit uses that. And it just makes you more fortunate. Because, like I said, maybe I didn't say this. This is going to be one of the things that I say frequently. If you eat the trigger, it'll fuel your spirit. And what you're actually eating, you piece up the trigger into two things. It's data and energy. It's a fact that what happened triggered you and made you do something. It's a whole fact. And there's an action that you took. But that action could have been different. Because it could have been in the way of growth. But instead of giving it to spirit, you gave it to another person. So it's like ping pong with somebody. You just giving the energy, and y'all got so much in between y'all, and one day it's gonna feel like one of y'all gonna lose. But it's not even the case, because it's all just baggage, and these lessons, it's not even the case. So moving on from there, we have integration. Well, divinity. You are divine, and this message comes with a warning and a blessing. Drawing this card invites you to proceed with love over fear, no matter what your situation or relation. Proceed only from a place of unconditional love, reverence, and understanding. Life is filled with choices. Make sure they are the ones that you respect and involve, or meditate on this symbol when you want to connect with the unseen elemental beings for support. So the elemental beings has to do with these domains right here. It's almost like gifters. I don't know why I said gifters. If you have a gifter near you, somebody who loves to give, speak to them. Maybe they'll help you out, but maybe it's not in the form of giving. Maybe it's in the form of a plan, how they did it to be able to give. Because that's a good position. That's a very beautiful position to be in. To be able to help somebody, great feeling. Last but not least, this is the last card of the reading, is power, and this is in transcendence. So you require power to transcend, and your power is now claimed by the perspective that you now hold. So let's get that. You are powerful, you are worthy, you are sovereign. It is time to remember your worth. Drawing this card invites you to take your place in the starring role of your life. There is no need to play small. You are being granted permission to display your strengths for all to see at this time. It does no service for you to hide your gifts. Drawing this card can also indicate that it's time for you to call your power back from any situation where it may have been taken away from you. So calling your power back, understand this baggage has energy too. It has reactions that come out and go back in. It has triggers that, you know what, I'm going to just hold this with me. I'm not going to handle this right now. It's always going to be a trigger, so I'm going to put that in the bag. I'm going to put it in the bag. I'm going to take it with me. So that's all power once you understand the data and the energy from it. Understand why it triggers you. Understand everything you can understand about it. And then it has no power over you. You have power over the situation. So knowledge is power, right? And for some reason I need to read this. This is the Isis crown. The crown of Isis, and sometimes the crown of Hathor, is made up of the sun disk cradled in cow's horns. The sun and the cow were both worshipped in ancient Egypt as symbols, but the different of equal powers. Alright, so this is the end of the reading. I hope you got a good perspective of what you need to know right now. I hope you're able to see a little bit differently, because that's my goal. If you can see differently, the devil has to attack you in a whole new pattern. Now the devil is scrambling because you have the power. And that's what I can offer. And if you like this reading, I again ask you to give it a like. Don't be shy. Leave a comment if this helps you any. If you wanted to share your story. And share the video with your favorite reader, because this is going to be for them. Imagine them reading how I did, but only better, right? So with all that said and done, I'm KyFy. Peace.